peoples of YouTube world. Well, a couple people have expressed interest in knowing my past about libertarianism. If you're not, then you can promptly turn off the video. And if you are, keep watching. And also, I'm making this particular video because I have a new camera and I wanted to use the topic to talk about on it. So here we go. I came onto YouTube as a constitutionalist libertarian. Now, I was a constitutionalist because I thought that the Constitution, based on historical interpretations, had the best way of preserving personal freedoms. Now, as I started to learn more about history, I saw that that was completely false. Like, the first interpretations I thought were correct were the Jeffersonian interpretations. Now, while Jefferson did indeed endorse having a smaller government and having a more democratic society, it was definitely not the only contribution made in making the Constitution. Hamilton, somebody who was definitely not a libertarian, he wanted the wealthy to who paid for the government to run the government, for there to be a central bank, for there to be a large unifying national debt, etc., etc. Definitely not libertarian. He also contributed in developing the Constitution. So, by saying that the creators of the Constitution, the founding fathers, are the only people who that we must rely on to see how it should be interpreted. It doesn't really prove anything because it can be interpreted in the Jeffersonian way, which is a strict constitutionalist, or a Hamiltonian way, a loose constitutionalist. Civics 101, yay. And also, even if we're not going to take into account historical context, and just look at the document, there are obvious things within it, such as the General Welfare Clause, that can promote the government doing a lot of things. The most current example being healthcare. And also the 10th Amendment. Now, even though most of the things they meant to be left to the states, they did end up including a lot more amendments after the 10th due to it being in existence. So things such as the 16th Amendment for the federal income tax came along and brought about quite a few not so libertarian things. So therefore I couldn't support being a constitutionalist because the historical interpretation for constitutionalism, like promoting a smaller state, is lacking, and just a general legal interpretation is lacking. And since I came to that refutation, I was still a libertarian, but I didn't think the Constitution was a very good backing for it anymore. So I just moved to a general Minarchism, mostly because I thought that the state still needed to be there to provide some services like roads, fire department, sewers, police, and education, and quite a few other things. Like, at the time, I still thought that abortion, needed to be illegal. So it was definitely a position that I took just from a, I don't know, therefore, state. But as I came to learn more about economics specifically and political science, roads, that was a really easy issue. It's been shown with private roads that are here currently, charter roads, and roads that are built by communities without the state. I'll show examples of different forms of transportation pathways being provided without government. Fire departments. There could very easily be a subscription service that people could sign up for. They could get fire protection. It would be very much like, getting water damage protection nowadays. It wouldn't be that big of an issue as far as doing it without the state. Also, you could have communal fire departments. They probably just wouldn't work as well. Sewer transport, even though we wouldn't have the sewer system without the state, there would still be septic tanks. There would be, like in RV parks, for example, you can save all of your sewage and a thing will come around and pick it up for you. Now there could be something very similar to that for private homes where there would just be a truck, like a garbage truck, but just for coming to pick up your sewage. So there are ways of sewage, that problem being solved. For police, my main thing was that it would be more efficient and it would run very much like mall cops or private police work currently, and people would be personally protected in their homes. For education, I realized that a lot of people, like having a liberal arts education, not everybody needs that. A lot of people could do with just learning how to read, have math, and learn a skill, and would probably just contribute as much to society as they would with a full liberal arts education from our current system. And then for people who would need that for a particular job that they wanted to go into, they could still get that through private schooling, through homeschooling, through online education courses, through plenty of mediums other than public schools. And, well, along that time I also started to become an atheist, so the whole abortion issue just kind of didn't really matter much to me anymore. Let's see here. And then, as I refuted those things that I thought were a concern for how the public would operate, I started to say, well, anarcho-capitalism probably isn't so bad. I mean, it sounds pretty good to me. That was kind of my view on it for a long time. I thought the economic utility and personal freedoms that anarcho-capitalism would provide would completely outweigh some of the uncertainties I had about law, courts, police, and immigration. I didn't even consider an issue. But as I started to think about these things more, and I started to read more on the topic, especially from the Mises Institute, and also hear arguments made on YouTube against anti-statism and these particular issues, I started to move more and more away from anarcho-capitalism as I saw that even though there would be more economic utility and personal freedom in the government, being out of many aspects of people's lives, them being out entirely would be a detriment. Mainly because the first thing I started to notice was law. I thought law was a very tricky thing, mainly because how the state enforces it now is they take common preferences and they are translated into the state, which can enforce these upon people who maybe don't share those preferences. But it tends to make